Okay. Okay, everyone, thank you for coming to the Pfizer committee meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started today. We are in person. I thank Councilmember Hancock for being here in person with me today. We have no consent items, approval of the minutes. Councilmember Hancock, do you approve the minutes from February 21st? I do. Okay, I approve them as well. State legislative update. Do we have Peggy? Hear me? Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, I am happy to jump right in. Stuff's starting to move pretty quickly here and also very slow at a snail's pace, as Liz and Pete Schulte can attest to. 1147, which is Fairness and Transparency in Muni Courts, passed House second reading on Wednesday. I expect it to be up on third reading today. Right now, the House is working on a special orders second reading calendar. We expect them to be on the floor all day, though. 1169, which is housing developments on faith and educational land, passed House second reading also on Wednesday. Expect that to be up on thirds today. 1195, which is first responder voter registration record. Confidentiality passed state affairs yesterday on a vote of 7-4 party line. Plus Representative Espinosa. And then my last bill is 62, which is failure to appear. It was scheduled to be in House Judiciary on Wednesday. The House got held up and was on the floor until about 6 o'clock Wednesday night, and then upon adjournment committees met, and then the afternoon committees met, and 62 was pulled off of the calendar. It has issued, the governor's office is not in a good place with it. There's also rumors of it potentially being turned into a study. So we're continuing to watch that. It has not been rescheduled. Vehicle registration, which is the bill the city's been working very hard on, is currently parked in appropriations. The legislature is going to start the budget process within the next week or so. So until that is finalized, stuff's not going to start moving through appropriations anytime in the near future. I think that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Councilmember Hancock, do you have any questions?
So that it's stalled in appropriations, is that? Help me understand what that means.
Oh, sure. It's parked in appropriations. It currently has a fiscal note on it. Representative Titone is willing to propose an amendment which would strip out the amnesty piece of the bill, which would strip off the fiscal note, which should help it move through and pass appropriations. But it has not been calendared and approached yet, which is not unusual. There are a lot of bills parked in appropriations right now. I hope that is helpful. And sorry for the noise. I don't know if you can hear the background.
And then Cami, so I know that the construction defect and also the bed cap, that's for March 18th so far, correct? For those bills?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
for the hearings, for the first hearings on those?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Okay. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
The juvenile detention bed cap,
yes,
I think it's March 18th.
it is, okay.
I don't think they bumped it up
Yep.
yet, but I think it's March 18th.
Because I know it was supposed to be
And
this week.
Yeah.
On the
was supposed
4th,
to
but then-
be right, and then it got bumped. They're still trying to work through pieces of the bill to hopefully, in their opinion, get it in a better place. So we'll keep watching the calendar. As Liz knows, stuff has started to shift around last minute on the calendar. Bills are getting added last minute, so we're on top of it.
Mayor, do you have any questions?
Is Liz still with the city? No.
Thanks. You keep saying that. You go.
So it
The
looks,
mayor had some questions.
so it looks like Senate Bill 1, that $3 million fiscal note is still on there.
Yep.
Okay, and then what do you think the probability of that getting out of appropriations is?
I think it's all going to be based on what happens, Mayor, within the next couple weeks as the budget moves through the process. Happy to dig in and update you offline too on that.
Liz, and I'm sorry, late. We had a conversation with the governor yesterday, and he, on the bed cap, what's that? Yeah, what,
Yeah, he wants us to see where Rep Hamrick is. I know we chatted about this yesterday. I texted Tati, so I think she's checking in and we're gonna be on top of that.
And then, Judge Day, the bill on in terms of municipal courts or the penalties, what is that? Is that 22?
Fairness and transparency in municipal courts, 1147.
1147.
It's passed, so Cami reported it passed House on second reading, and it's looking like it's gonna pass the House.
Okay.
It's on thirds right today.
Yeah.
So
It should be up on thirds today. I think our chances of killing that are going to be way better in the Senate, and we've been working closely with CML on that as well.
if I may, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead. Update.
After 1147 was introduced, I told Liz and others that I thought that I should recuse myself on commenting on the bill because there's a possibility that it could potentially be challenged, including a potential challenge maybe in our court. But now I think that with what was testified to at House Judiciary, I'm going to ask that I no longer recuse myself on the bill and that I go down and correct the record. If it does make it through the House, which we all anticipate that it will, and that it will be assigned to the Senate Judiciary. There were some, I thought, disturbing testimony at committee that referred to the CCJJ vote as you know, and our city's leaders know, I was the municipal representative on CCJJ. I have personal knowledge, I have personal recollection as to the CCJJ record. And I feel that I now need to go down and correct that record because it was an incorrect statement as to what the record was at CCJJ. And so if it passes and if there is a challenge and if that challenge filed with our court, I just need to let you know that I will just recuse myself from that challenge in our court and one of our other judges can handle the challenge. If it's challenged, and I'm not saying one way or the other if it will be or not, depending on, what the final bill is.
I think for me, I would recommend Judge Day go down and at least correct the record. I admit it. I approve that as well. Mayor, did you want to say something?
Why was one going to come down and with a red Make America Great Again hat? That's right. Red Okay.
But Judge Day, yeah, I think that would be important for you to go down there and make sure that that record is corrected. And then we'll have to, if it comes before the recusal, but I think it's important to do that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll keep you updated on when I see it's gonna be scheduled, and
Okay.
we'll coordinate some
I also talked about the failure to appear bill with the governor, but I can't remember what he said about that. I don't think he said anything about it, did he?
I don't believe he did.
Is he kind of leaning against that bill?
I think he was leaning for it
Oh, leave it.
last time, first time we talked.
I don't know if he likes it or not. I don't want to speak on behalf of the governor. So I think there are some concerns, but I couldn't say a for sure position either way at this time.
Where is it right now?
It
What's the bill? Is that Senate Bill 22?
Senate Bill 62, it
62.
was scheduled for Tuesday or Wednesday to be heard, but it got pulled from committee.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it was supposed to be heard Wednesday. Pete and I had coordinated to do testimony on the bill. However, the bill was pulled off of the committee calendar and it has not been rescheduled.
Did CML take a position against it yet?
They are in
They're-
an amend
They're in a mid position.
Is there?
position currently. There's rumor, and Mayor, I'm sorry, and sorry to repeat myself to the group. There the governor's office is not in a good place on 62 right now. I have also heard rumors that it could potentially be turned into a study.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, Mayor?
And then, Councilmember Hancock's bill is moving forward.
It's an
That doesn't seem to be a problem right now.
It's an appropriation. It's in
Okay.
private pool.
What is the appropriations for it?
And it has not been calendared in appropriations. There's several bills parked in approps right now, Mayor. And we don't expect them to start moving until they get through the budget process.
Do you remember what the fiscal note is on?
The last fiscal note I saw, I think it was about $56,000, but by Representative Titone proposing an amendment to remove the amnesty piece out of the bill, that
Okay, yeah.
should eliminate the fiscal note.
Hey, good.
You have any other questions, Mayor?
No.
Okay.
And the note was
Yes, go
actually
ahead.
the out year fiscal note that Cammie's referring to was for the out year of 26-27, which was just under 52,000
Okay.
for that. But the current budget year of 25-26, it's a zero. fiscal.
But that's
Yeah.
stripping away the
But
amnesty.
the amnesty part of the bill is gonna be entirely removed, so there will be no fiscal.
So there won't be a fiscal note. Okay, okay. Okay.
Excuse me, this is Tati. I'm sorry I was late. The
Go ahead,
fiscal note,
Tati.
the fiscal note on that bill was 15,000 and some change, the latest one, the revised one. Then when the amnesty piece comes out, we expect that to even go lower, we hope.
But if we take that out, from what I'm understanding from Liz and from everybody, if they remove the amnesty, whether it's 15,000 or any amount, it's gonna be zero. Is that
That's-
correct? Okay,
That's what our belief is, yes, ma'am.
okay,
Oh,
Okay.
Chair, can I ask more?
go ahead, Mayor.
Well, construction defects, where are we at with that?
It's on March 18th, the
Okay,
hearing. And so it's
Yeah.
keeping up that space,
okay.
that cap.
There's a little, I mean, is there any kind of agreement at all? There's two different bills I know.
Yeah, there's one.
On it, but, and what is it, does it look like anything meaningful is gonna happen?
Peggy?
Yes, I was just going to give a quick update on construction defects. You're exactly right. There are actually 3 bills on construction defects. Senator Lundin's Senate Bill 131 addresses construction defects and tries to reduce litigation. It also has elements around energy reform as well as landlord tenant and eviction pieces. That bill was supposed to be heard but got laid over. I think because it's got those additional pieces to it and there's not a Democratic co-sponsor on it, that bill is going to have a tough time moving forward. House Bill 1261 is Representative Bacon's bill on construction defects. This is the bill that she worked on with the trial lawyers and the plaintiff's bar. It really goes in the opposite direction of what our priorities have been in terms of trying to reduce litigation and increase affordable housing stock. So that's a bill that we do not want to move forward. Last year, we were able to kill that bill. I'm hopeful that again will be the case this year. The bill that I think we're putting our eggs in the basket, or whatever eggs we have left. Thank you, Mayor. That bill is 1272, which is Representative Byrd's bill. We've been working with her since last year on this bill. She's really tried to go at it from a different approach than last year. Last year, it was really the home builders and developers that were the face of the bill. This year, she's tried to bring legislation that is more focused on some of the nonprofits, some of the affordable housing organizations that are out there. And she's also been working with the realtors. There will be amendments to the bill, as Councilwoman Lawson said. That bill is calendared for March 18th. We've got a couple of folks that we're hoping can testify, including Councilwoman Hancock and perhaps Councilwoman Lawson, if we're able to work it around their schedule. So we'll keep in touch with our witnesses on that one. But we do expect amendments. There are still some concerns from home builders, little bit from CML around the permitting, but we'll keep working on that bill, because I think that's the bill, that's the vehicle that we're hopeful moves forward.
I think with council members Lawson and Hancock, it's a slam dunk will.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for your faith in us there, Mayor. We've got magic powers.
They don't know what's coming. They just don't know.
They don't know what's coming.
Is there any question? Peggy, do you have any other updates for us or? Okay, is there any questions from the committee, Councilmember Hancock?
I have none.
Hey, Mayor?
Well,
Okay, well, thank you all for all you're doing down there. There's a lot going on and things are moving fast, very fast. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna go to 3B, House Bill 25-1273, residential building stair modernization. Liz, that's you.
So this bill essentially would require us to amend and adopt building codes to allow up to 5-story multifamily buildings to be served by a single stairway exit. This bill came up last year and the city opposed it. Again, violates our home rule authority as is required to adopt a building code that we don't have. There's also some concerns about entrance and egress from our first responders and fire staff, that if there's only one stairway, if there's a fire and the stairway is blocked, how are people escape a 5-story building in the event of a fire? There's also concerns of an active shooter situation or other police situations where only one stairway could be a detriment to public safety. So for those reasons, we are recommending, again, an opposed position on this legislation.
absolutely.
Okay, Councilmember Hancock.
Absolutely.
Okay, I approve the city's position as well. Mayor, do you have any questions on it?
Yeah, what was their logic in bringing it forward? Is it the affordability issue or?
It's going to cut down on building homes, cut down the cost of building homes.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Liz. So that's all on bill for state.
That's all the stuff for state.
Okay, so we have a federal legislative update. Lori, is Lori available today? Okay, I
Yes,
see
good
her.
afternoon.
Okay, hi, Lori.
Hi, I'm
You're
keeping up
sure
from all
busy
this
up there
work.
in DC.
Oh, yeah, nothing's going on here at all. I'll start with appropriations. The continuing resolution that's funding the federal government expires a week from today, March 14th. There's a lot of big surprise, not much clarity on what's going to happen. Right now, the House is going to attempt to vote for a year-long CR on Tuesday. But every Republican, there's only one Republican, two vote Republican majority right now. So that means they cannot lose many Republicans. And as you know, there is a group of probably 10 to 12 Freedom Caucus Republicans that vote against all appropriation bills. The Democrats are not going to support it at this time. It's very, very tense up here. There's also a rumor, though, that Chairman Cole of the House Appropriations Committee would like to see if he can get a omnibus appropriations bill. On the Senate side, Senator Collins, who's the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, agrees as well, but there's no way they're going to be able to pass an omnibus in 1 week. On the Senate side, they'll need 8 Democrats to vote for it with a 60 vote required majority. And Rand Paul of Kentucky has already said he is not going to support it. Right now, there are not 8 Democrats to support a year-long CR. So we may have a government shutdown unless things start to get better up here this upcoming week. I'll keep Liz in touch on that. I hope that doesn't happen. But I'll keep you posted. And as a reminder, if there is a year-long CR, though, we will not be able to keep our earmarks. All the earmarks will fall out of the bill. But Liz will give an update on that as we prepare for the upcoming appropriations package. Any questions on that?
Yeah, Mayor,
For-
Well, if those earmarks do fall out, we're gonna blame Liz. Do you think it'll be a, like really short-term CR, you know, kind of patchwork kind of stuff?
You think they're gonna, what did you say about the
Do you
CR?
think there'll be a real short-term CR if they can't do a year-long CR?
So right now, the House is pledged to put it on the, up for a vote on the floor on Tuesday. But you're right. If the House Appropriations Committee Cole prevails, they could do a short-term CR to switch to an omnibus.
Okay.
But they, when I was on the Hill this past week, the Democratic offices are supporting a shutdown.
Wow. Okay.
Councilmember Hancock, do you have any questions, comments?
Whoa.
Um,
That's pretty much it right now. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
At the same time, they're going through the reconciliation process. This is the bill to, put into law Trump's priorities on immigration and defense. Both the House and Senate have passed their own budget resolutions for the reconciliation. And what this did was sort of like a directions manual to let the committees know how much money they need to come up with to cut and how much money they need to come up to spend. On the House side, they're including renewing the Trump tax cuts. On the Senate side, they want to do that in a different bill. So right now, the committees are drafting both in the House and Senate, and the House would like to get its bill done before Memorial Day. One program I'm watching for y'all, I know that's very important, is the exemption on muni bonds, the tax exemption on muni bonds. I know that's very important to me in the state departments, and that has been eyed as a pay for to get rid of that. However, there was a House Republican last week from New York that's pledged to help save that because he also wants the SALT deduction as well. So I'm closely tracking that, as well as other energy and environmental measures that may be cut that I know that a worldwide is following. So this will be a very interesting process. But with it only passed the House by a 2-vote majority because many Republicans opposed it. They got every Republican to support it except for Massey. I don't know, now that you see policy in a bill, how are the moderate Republicans going to support this, especially if you have to cut Medicare and Medicaid? I don't know how they're going to get it done. It'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out with no Democrat supporting it.
Yeah, I just want to quickly touch on the municipal bond issue that we're tracking. So for Councilmember Hancock, we use municipal bonds to buy supplies, fire trucks. We use it to build recreation centers. This building, I believe, was under that. So I do have a list of the projects we've used bonds for, and we are working with National League of Cities to submit some of the projects that we've used the bonds for in their national advocacy strategies to show how important they are. We use it to build, I think, police station number 2, fire station 5, 7, and 15. Don't quote me on those numbers. I'm pretty sure they're right. But that's kind of what we're looking at and how we're going to be engaging on that. We are heavily considering also putting this in our DC advocacy strategy as well to discuss with some of the administration and Republican delegation that we will meet with.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Well, on the omnibus bill, I'm sorry, the reconciliation. So
Yes.
the Medicare stuff, is that inside the reconciliation?
No, it is not in, they're eyeing it for reconciliation, but it was not in their budget resolution. It was literally like House Ways and Means Committee find, I'm making this number up, $500 million in cuts. That's how it was labeled. So there wasn't any actual policy included in the reconciliation in the resolution itself.
You don't think that or is it too early to tell whether the reconciliation, because that's just a simple majority House and Senate, right?
Yes, exactly, which is why they do it through that process.
So then, what's your prognosis on getting through?
Right now, it's as of today, things could change in 10 minutes. In the current world we're living in, I don't see how they can get it through the House. The Senate should be pretty easy. They have wide-ranging Republican support over there.
And Lori, I just have a question. I know the city, we apply for many grants and those grants are being, looked at. Some of the grants are being looked at in terms of their effectiveness and basically the priorities of the administration. The ones that we have submitted, are those on, are we still in good shape with those? Or could they potentially be on the chopping block or?
So
you know
I do,
anything about
as
that?
of, yes, so the grants under the bipartisan infrastructure law,
Yeah, exactly.
if you've not obligated your grant, it is on pause. However, fortunately, Public Works was able to obligate their Protect grant that they received 2 rounds ago. But I have other municipalities across the country that all federal funding pause has been paused. I don't think they're going to be able to cut it though. The House leadership put out a memo about 3 or 4 months ago saying that it won't be able to be cut because it was done under emergency spending. But the funding under the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, could be cut very much. And I don't think we have a grant. We have an urban community forestry grant. And I
Okay,
think we obligated that, right, Liz? Don't let me put you on the
Yes.
spot.
Yeah, that's all secure.
okay, so all of our
But-
things that we've already obligated, those will be funded, but when we're coming up for possibly new things, that may be something we probably have to look at and see if we're gonna advocate for it or not, because it's paused. And also too, it could be cut depending on what program it's in. Is that?
Like DOT was threatening to cut like formula
Yeah.
funding. It was to Dr.
Okay.
Cog, for example. And ASHO, the Trade Association for State DOTs, was able to make some not to pause that federal formula funding.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay. Mayor, go ahead.
We have, just one, I think I had mentioned to you about, changing I think it's in statute, housing first versus, work first. And so,
Yes.
when we're in Washington, if we can, touch base with the administration, on that.
HUD.
Obviously, we'll mention it to our congressional delegation, but, and what, are we gonna, do you think you can, last time we had a great meeting with HUD, do you think we'll have that
Yes.
again?
Yes, they're still staffing up, but I believe they do finally have a Department of Intergovernmental Affairs in place. So I'm going to work with that person. And I'm also working in a sub-meeting with White House Intergov as well.
Great, no, that was a great trip.
Yeah, that was really, yeah. Okay, thank you, Lori. You have any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you, Lori. We'll be seeing
Thank
you in
you.
a little bit, so.
Yeah, exactly.
In
Have
person.
a good weekend.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
exactly. Good.
All right.
Thank you.
So Liz, did you want to go over HR, 4B, HR 308, low income housing for defense communities?
Yes, the mayor and I had met with Buckley, I think 2 weeks ago, and they talked that they had a lot of concerns about housing and housing for their junior enlisted soldiers. So we did discover this bill, Low Income Housing for Defense Communities Act. So essentially the bill would aim to help service members in high cost areas like our city find affordable housing by expanding affordable housing tax credits for active duty service members. So given that the base is looking at this, we believe, and it is part of our priorities as a city to help the base address housing needs. We are recommending a support position on this legislation, which we can then bring and discuss when we are in DC.
Councilmember Hancock, do you have any questions? Do you support the position of the city?
Yes.
Okay, I support as well. Mayor, do you have any questions on this? Okay. Okay, thank you, Liz, on that. So we got our water update, 5A, Kathy, Aurora Water FY 26 congressionally directed spending project.
Yes, I'm hoping that congressionally directed spending does not fall out for FY 26. Water would like to apply and request for $1,152,000 for lift station improvements. And we previously got CDS
What's that size again? I'm sorry.
it is $1,152,000
Okay,
would be the request, and we have received funding for water line replacement. And so this would be for our wastewater system. So, and it would be demolition of 3 different old lift stations and rehabilitation of an existing one. So I believe one of the lift stations is in Ward 6 and 2 of them are in Ward 2. And the rehabilitation lift station is up by I-70 and Airport, so we're in Ward 2. But the total cost of the project, and I've got a typo in my memo, horrified, sorry. And the total cost is 1,440,000, so the request would be for 80% of the project.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions, and do you support the request?
I do support the request.
And I support the request as well. Do you guys, are you guys are going up to DC or have you been to DC?
We are going to DC. The first time that we have staff going to DC will be the first week in April, so we'll be there after you will.
Okay, so you'll be advocating for this as well. Okay, Bear, do you have any questions on this? Okay, all right, thank you. Anything else?
I've got a few more items.
Okay.
Informational. The Water Conservation Rebates Tax Parity Act that should be reintroduced this week. So we're very excited that that one's getting reintroduced this section. And then my next informational item, if you remember 2 weeks ago when I was here, I brought forward a last minute state bill, House Bill 1009 for vegetative mitigation. And then we did do the notification. I waited 24 hours to the email. I did only get back one email response, at least that I saw. So there was not a quorum, so it was not officially changed or anything, which was okay. But good news, the bill did get amended favorably this last Wednesday, and it's on the Senate floor on Monday. So I don't think that there's anything further to do. I just wanted to give an update that that bill is in a good spot.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I'm glad that it went into the favorable spot. So, okay. All right. So nothing else on water. Do you have any questions, Councilmember? Mayor, do you have any questions on water? Okay. State last minute bills. Okay, Liz.
Sorry. So
Two promises.
I know what I said. Okay, but we are a little bit excited about this, well, amending. So we are going to be recommending an amend position on this bill. It's House Bill 25-1243, peace officer questions during traffic stop. Essentially, the bill would prohibit peace officers from asking drivers or passengers, like, do you know why we pulled you over? We chatted with the bill sponsor if they are amenable to amending the bill. So we would like to amend the bill. We think that it doesn't define totality of circumstances, and it's a bit too vague for officers to follow. So what we would like to amend the bill to is to include peace officer should provide a general explanation to the vehicle operator, the reason for the traffic stop, unless doing so would jeopardize tactics, operational security, and investigative continuity. And I would like to note this is literally copy and pasted from what our APV guidance and policy is. So if the bill would pass amended, nothing would change for us.
Okay. Do you, Councilmember Hancock, do you have any questions? And do you support the amendment position?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I support the amendment position. However, if it's not accepted, then we're gonna go back to the opposed position.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. You'll let me know, keep us updated on that. And when is that coming up for hearing? Do you have an, does anyone know when that's coming up for hearing? House Bill 1243, sorry.
I don't think it's been scheduled, last I checked.
Okay.
Which
Well,
was,
you'll keep us updated.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else, Judge Day? Do you have anything? Thank you for giving me your list of bills. And again, Judge Day, I know that there's some bills on there and you're definitely be happy to go testify on your behalf, or I know there was some bills that you might want to consider. I know there was one in particular, like.
We have not, they haven't been calendared yet. Liz and I have been coordinating
You
on
guys have been
that.
coordinating?
Yeah, along with the city staff.
Okay,
So we've been coordinating on it. The 1243 bill is actually set judiciary on the 12th,
okay,
March 12th.
okay. Well, I appreciate this spreadsheet.
Sure.
So that's.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too confusing. but-
No, please, no. I know how to, it's great. So that's fine. Okay, Mayor, do you have any questions for the state? Okay, federal last minute bills, is there anything? Okay, so miscellaneous matters for consideration. Liz, before we get to that, before we get to 8A, I just have some questions and I have a comment. So I'm gonna put you on the spot, George, just for a minute, because I just need to understand something about testifying. Okay. So over and over, I've been the chair of this committee for 9 years. And over, I'm trying to understand her testifying before the committee as a council member and also as a city staff person. And it's not just so much because of this committee, it's just setting the stage for future whoever's gonna be on this committee, who's gonna be the chair, who's gonna be testifying. And I'm gonna put a few examples in front of you, so I'm trying to play a little bit of a part. So can you tell me, number one, I go down, I'm Angela Lawson. I'm not on this committee, but I'm a council member going to testify on my behalf. Can you tell me where the threshold starts? I'm gonna start with this first scenario. Hi, committee, I'm Angela Lawson. I'm testifying in my individual capacity. What if I stop there? Is that good to stop there as a, and I said, I'm a Ward 5 council member, but I'm testifying on my individual capacity, and I stop there.
Well, are you testifying against a city position or for a city position?
It could be either or, like I could be testifying against.
Well, if you're testifying against.
And I'm saying I'm going my individual capacity, but I'm using this example. I'm testifying, I'm Angela Lawson. I'm a Ward 5 council member. I'm testifying in my individual capacity, and I stop there. Is that something?
I think that's okay.
Okay.
But anytime you throw around your title if it's contrary to the city's position, it kind of,
Okay.
it jeopardizes things in terms of,
So
the opinion of your own opinion versus the city's statement.
Okay, so that makes sense. So if I go down and say, I'm Angela Lawson, hi, I'm Angela Lawson, I'm testifying on this such a bill, and that's it. Is that appropriate?
I'd say that's the safest way
Okay,
to go
that's the
about it
safest way.
when the city has a contrary position
Okay.
to your own First
So
Amendment.
if I'm going down
position.
there and I'm testifying, even though I'm a city council person or city staff person, and I go down and say, I'm Angela Lawson, I'm testifying on this bill.
I think that's the safest way.
That's the safest way. Okay, what if I do this? Hi, I'm council member, I'm Angela Lawson. I'm testifying on my individual capacity as well as on behalf of my constituents, and I'm not on behalf of my city council or legislative committee. Tell me how that goes.
Too far.
Okay.
Because then you're talking about your own constituents and what they're
Okay,
telling you.
okay, and I bring this to the forefront of this because I'm talking to you about this committee because this was done. And I think first of all, I would never, ever put my constituents in something, even if I went down there and said I'm a Ward 5 council member, because a lot of my constituents don't believe or they disagree with me. But I'm just trying to figure out a way to address this issue, not because I think for me, this committee, whether someone likes me as the chair or whether they don't like the positions of the committee, respect the committee, the purpose of the committee. And what I think I'm trying to find a way to deal with certain issues, not only from this perspective, this example that I gave you, but also from a city staff perspective, because can a rule change be done? What is it that I could do as a chair? Because this continues. And I find this to be very disrespectful, not only to the committee as a whole, because it continues to go on, but also to just set the precedent for the future. Because if this is being allowed, if I'm not a chair or on this committee and I go down there and I do this, I don't want to hear anything from city staff or the city attorney's office because this has been allowed. And I think this goes over the threshold. So can you tell me, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, I'm sorry I'm bringing up this issue, Chair, but I think it needs to be discussed in this committee. Is this a rule change? Is there a threshold? What can be done if this continues to go? Because I think this is very inappropriate. This is an actual statement that was done at a hearing.
I think city council could definitely entertain a council rule change, and
Okay,
I could work with you all
okay,
on the specific language you want, maybe
Okay.
specifically stating the city council is directing any other council members to use this specific language when they're contrary to.
but the statement that I just read you is really over the threshold, correct? In your opinion?
It is
Okay,
when you're bringing in other citizens, basically that you're representing as a council member to support your
this
view.
person is not even the mayor. I mean, I can see maybe the mayor, but,
Well, even
but
the mayor,
Yeah.
you shouldn't say that either.
And I'm really needing to, what I'm doing is, what I'm doing here is I'm not trying to let the committee know and everyone here to know is I'm not trying to stop anyone to go down and testify on something. But if we're allowing this, then this will continue And then there could be nothing said to anyone about it. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there some type of rule change? Is there some type of thing that can be done on this, Mayor?
Well, is there can you have an absolute type rule to say if it is not the position of the city, then an elected member in that capacity cannot testify against the city's position?
Yes, I think you can.
I would,
One second, yeah.
I would be inclined to support that position simply because what's the point of this committee if we're gonna have folks going down and being contrary to what we have all agreed as a committee is the position of the city? And it makes us look crazy. Okay, it just.
But it's not just that. I mean, you as a council, you know, when Liz presents to you at study session, you're all agreeing, everybody there's nobody showing, if someone's objecting to it, then they can pull it and ask for it to be heard at a council meeting. And then they can voice their concerns about
Right.
this committee, you know, the position this committee has taken, and that's happened before. And then there's been the discussion on what should the city do as a whole. So if you all decide as a council to take a contrary position to what FSIR has done, that's fine. That's what the city council and the mayor can do at a regular session meeting. So if FSIR takes a position and then the other council members have concerns about it, it'd be discussed at a regular meeting and you could vote on it. And that's at your discretion.
Thank you for listening to the scenarios, but like if I went down and testified my own capacity, if I was a city council member, I would just stop it. I'm Angela Lawson.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's the safest way.
That would
to
be
go.
it. And then,
Yes.
you know, I would not be doing this. And I just think this is the threshold, but that's why I played those three scenarios. So I would like, if the committee would like to maybe see if we can write up something about a rule change on this and bring this to, I guess, the committee and to the council. So,
Together. I'll talk to Pete as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, his thoughts on it. but-
okay.
I would just like to say too, Chair, that it's not uncommon for us as a council to have differing positions on any issues. But as a Pfizer committee, we're tasked to be the voice of
Yes.
the council when we're going to represent legislative matters, opposing or supporting or amending. It is incongruent to have someone go down who's in this body to make an opposing position in the public, because it's not a unifying position. It reflects well on the decision-making processes here in our body. So I think a strong statement that would, and a rule change would be appropriate. We're not trying to censor anyone's point of view. That's fine. If you want to go down as yourself, fine. But you can't go down there representing the council or any member or city staff that's contrary to what this committee has already designated.
But
as our
also in
position.
addition, your constituents, like, who are those constituents?
Yes.
I would never say that because I know people disagree with me and they would probably go down and say, you went down and said my constituents in Ward 5, they might not believe in that. So
Right.
I find that right there, well, who's constituent?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the question,
Right.
because a person can be at large or board, not everybody agrees with you. So that's my other thing with this statement. So I just wanted to bring that up in the miscellaneous, started to just track, but if I could work with you on a rule change that I can bring forward to the council, I would greatly appreciate
You
it.
want it, you can use your prerogative to bring it back to FSIR. You can
Let's start
bring it to a study
process. Let's
session.
bring it through FSIR, let the committee review, and then we'll move it up through the process.
So I'll work on it. I'll get it to you, Madam Chair, and then we can see about getting it on the next FSIR agenda. Is that,
That
or do you
sounds,
want to take a little bit longer
no, let's
as
get
soon as
as
possible?
soon as possible,
Okay.
Karen, because testimony, we still have 2 months of the legislature, so thank you for that, and I didn't mean to detract, but let's go ahead to Liz, to your 8A congressional directed spending discussion.
Yes, so I want to preface this by saying we are looking at staff for direction on congressional directed spending if this happens. This hasn't happened, this hasn't happened yet, but if you remember last year for fiscal year 25, the House decided that they were not going to accept CDS requests from nonprofit entities. What happened was the delegation and we were able to submit fiscal year 25 requests on behalf of the city, and those nonprofits would be a subrecipient. So this was a little bit chaotic last year with how that happened. It was very last minute. No one was prepared for that. So we would like, as staff, some direction for if that does happen again, what would this committee and the council like us to do, and how would they like us to handle that situation? So we have, as staff, internally met and talked about what it would look like if the city was engaged in doing subrecipient grants for nonprofits for this specific CDS process. So I'm happy to go over that and what we discussed and what our conclusions were.
Yeah, could you please go?
Absolutely. So I do want to preface by saying there is limited funding available now from the federal government. I think everyone is seeing some tightening of what grants are available. So I will start with our list of why this could be beneficial. There's limited funding. It would assist in community projects outside the city as an entity. It also might be beneficial if the council wanted to build relationships with other nonprofits in the community or assist in non-city priority or city funded projects. That being said, we are very concerned, as Lori mentioned, if there is a year-long continuing resolution, we lose all fiscal year 25 CDS that we put in. What we've talked to with the Senate staff is we have resubmitted fiscal year 25 projects, just in case that happens, on the ones that we have already been awarded. So these are the ones that are currently in the budget for us. So we've resubmitted those. We've also heard from our Senate staff that they would only like us to submit 3 CDS projects to the Senate. They still have the House, so like, we're not worried for us. We only have with water 4 projects, so we'll be fine. But I do want to make that point, that if the council decides they would like to have nonprofits be subrecipients for CDS, we would need to determine what projects we would realistically submit. And we might not be able to prioritize the projects that the city staff has brought forward to council. So that's part one of that. Other parts of this discussion, if we were to engage in the subrecipient, we would be responsible for ensuring that the nonprofits are reporting everything correctly and spending the money they've been allocated in a way that is in line with federal requirements. If the nonprofit does not do that and we do not catch it, the city would be responsible for that misstep, and we could be flagged as a high risk grantee, and that could jeopardize our funding in the future. So that is a big concern that we have. As I mentioned, our own CDS projects could not be funded. If we did want to do this, we could be potentially tied to that nonprofit for 3 to 5 plus years while they spend that funds. We do have some concerns that if we are to engage in this process, how we would be vetting these nonprofits, and how that would work out. We would have to likely bring this to council to be re-voted on. We would also want to determine the financial status of the nonprofit. How would we determine if the nonprofits have capability for this? That was a big question. Federal funding and federal grants are a big endeavor. As you all know, it takes a lot of work to get these grants and maintain the grants once we have received them. So that's a concern with us. We also don't know how many people would apply for this through the city. So that's a big question. Last year, I think there was maybe 3 engagements, but that could be more this year. We just don't really know. Also, the political implications of going with nonprofits or not funding the nonprofits. There's also some liability concerns that we have. It's if we don't fund nonprofits, are we opening ourselves up to liability? Because some of the vetting and looking at what we would have to submit that would be in line with the federal administration, would that open us up to liability if we didn't pick somebody? So we have a lot of substantial concerns about doing that. Based on the information that Lori had shared, staff does not really recommend that we engage in this process. However, it is of course up to this committee and up to council if they would like to do subrecipient CDS funding.
Yeah.
I agree with Liz. I know it's hard to do. But I agree with you that not do the nonprofits.
Yeah, I agree too, Liz, because we only have a certain amount of CDS requests. And I mean, we need to have those. So I think I'm a no as well.
I'm trying to understand, Chair.
Go ahead.
So the nonprofits that we currently fund, that's the youth, that $2 million, that under this.
No,
Like,
this is
no,
very,
this is-
very specifically for fiscal year 26 congressional directed spending requests. This is like nothing else would be implicated in a decision like this. This is very much for this very specific program.
A nonprofit might ask us to be a approved
Pass-through, like fiscal
pass-through
sponsor
to
for that.
yeah,
So
so.
what kind of nonprofits would be even qualifying for this?
Well, I mean, I think in the past, Food Bank of the Rockies could be a nonprofit, Aurora Mental Health, the New Horizons, any nonprofit could essentially ask us to get pass-through.
Is there a threshold for size? Because Food Bank of Rockies is a pretty substantial.
There is no threshold for sizes.
And then, so we're, to support something like this will put us at huge risk.
Yeah, and the reason my position is no, is just because the amount of CDS requests that we have as a city. And we can lose some of that if we're, and then all of the things that we have to track as well, because we'll be connected to that nonprofit. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of good agencies, but I think they might have to find, we gotta kind of see what we can get as a city. So that's why I'm a no. Just the amount of
The paperwork and the
paperwork
logistics and all that.
and being connected to them for 5 years.
In our discussions with our financial staff, in our discussions with financial staff, I mean, we could potentially have to need another position just to manage this alone. The requirements for CDS and reporting this are arduous. We do already have staff that work on this full time and monitor this, and they are concerned that this would substantially add to that, in addition to the oversight that we would have to have on the funding that the nonprofit would receive, to make sure that they are staying in compliance to protect our own liability and our own future federal funding.
Right, so that puts us at great.
Yes, Berto?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would, for me, I would, it's,
That's fine. I would be inclined to agree. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of risk.
yeah,
Okay.
it is.
I will bring this recommendation to full council. I do think it's important to have this discussion, to make sure that everyone understands what we are concerned about as staff and the implications that this could have. So, this will be at the next, probably not Monday, but the week after, I would say, because this has to go through the ESCAR process. I think. Well, I'll try to about that. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for the discussion. It's a hard decision. We recognize that, but
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of hard decisions have to be made,
Yeah.
in general, with the environment that we're in, so, and the budgetary,
We have to look at managing our own resources of the dollars.
exactly,
And why not take on more?
respond,
and this is only if that happens.
yeah, if it
Like,
happens.
if
If
it
it
happens.
doesn't, then what happens?
If it doesn't and nonprofits are eligible to apply, we don't need to do anything. They might ask us for letters of support, which is fine to give. But this is only if nonprofits are no longer eligible, and then they would have to go through government to get recipients, which there are Fairfield County, other governmental entities that could take on that burden.
So is there anything else, anything else for discussion? Mary, you have anything else? Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, our next meeting is March 21st at 11 a.m. and it'll be virtual. So thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.